Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land, BitChute, and everywhere else that this is broadcasting. I'm Pocan Joe, and I just want to say thank you for swinging by. You're pretty cool for doing it. And thank you for stopping by my 1 millionth episode. Thank you. Thank you all for allowing me to be on here 1 million times. I'm telling you, I'm ecstatic. I know what you're thinking. Nope. And you would be right. So welcome to my new comic book day, or new comic book day haul and review. And why did I start off that way? Well, let's just be honest. We know why. This is not 1,000 issues, but whatever. You can sit there and choke on that whole. Well, we were really timely comics before that. No, you weren't. You you dispatched that business, brought it, bankrupted, brought it down to bare bones, and then reestablished another business. After it, I'm not buying it. But who cares about this or the superfluities of the whole thing? What was this comic book about? They had a great overarching story in here. And we have a piece of Eternity. If you don't know who Eternity is, he's a Marvel character that creates balance throughout the universe, which actually makes sense to the character. And then we played homage to the Black Mask, Thundar, and now I guess we're going back to Black Mask, as the mask or the object being part of Eternity, which makes sense. I'm surprised that they went this route with it. The reason why it makes sense is the whole point of the mask is to make you equal to your enemy, right? And then the one that has the most willpower will ultimately decide that factor. So it just kind of washes the board and makes you equal to whatever they are, right? That's a great concept. I like that concept, and it worked. But the story's super muddled with a bunch of BS. So much BS. So much horrible, 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 horrible BS. The one pagers in there they just weren't that good. There's a lot of bad things in there, a lot of stupid things. The Ms. America one, I get that people want to see Hispanic characters in comic books. I get it. I got you. My biggest argument with that was apparently she was put in this neighborhood because the homosexual kids were being bullied and apparently weren't welcome there, and that's why her parents from some heavenly plane put her there. I hate to break this to you. They should have dropped you in, like, I don't know, 80% of Africa, the entire Middle East, 75% worth of Central Europe, China, just as a whole, it's still illegal there. You see, in South Korea, it was considered a mental illness, right? So, yeah, I'm not buying that they brought you here to fight the injustices when it's legitimately everywhere else in the world. Not buying that one. May not make me a popular guy, but facts are facts and truths are truths. Some of the ones I did like in there were a few I kind of read it, like the Hellcat one. That was a really good one. Mark Wade's summary of an essay that was garbage. I really liked, what was it? I love the Star Wars one. That was great. And I was surprised to see a Star Wars one in there. Some other things I really liked in here. The Punisher Wolverine one about the bath salts. That was just hilarious. I laughed out loud for reals. The Hulk family one was good. Like, there was a lot of good ones in here. But then there was just some that were people, they had a second to talk, and they did. And that's all that turned out to be. I don't think anybody really wants that anymore. Besides this awesome American Captain America cover, I meant to say Captain America, I went ahead and picked up this beautiful 1 in 50 with everybody on the cover there. I thought that was a great cover. The ones I missed out was the one with Mickey Mouse on it. I really wanted that one. So all in all, I'm calling that a good comic book, other than I think it was like 8 pages in there. It was like, oh, wow, I get to say something that will change somebody's life. Rick, my opinion. I can't see past my nose and doesn't really know how the world works, but I got opinions. Bah, go away. It was horrible. But moving on, there was a lot of other good stuff. All right, we got Amazing Spider-Man number 28 here. This is shaping into a good story. I really like the Women's Syndicate. I thought that was a great concept there. The art in this thing is just beautiful. Boomerang's being sneaky and kind of devious in this. Amazing Spider-Man is just trying to figure it all out. There's a love interest in here that's not as natural as it should be. It's against a villain and just a regular guy. That's pretty cool. And whatever it is that Boomerang is holding over Wilson Fisk's, or Fisk's head, is still prevalent into this story. So that's really great. I'm sorry that I am drinking beer on YouTube right now, but I need to sauce up a little bit for the comic books that I'm just going to totally burn in this show. I'll apologize now. All right, moving on. Uh, Absolute Carnage number 2. First off, I love this cover. I'm surprised these type of covers don't get more popularity. In this story, it is just absolutely great. We get some more of that Ravenclaw action with Venom and Amazing Spider-Man in there trying to escape. Spider-Man learns that Venom now has wings, which I love that. That is just awesome. It's super scary. The entire thing is written like a horror story, and it looks like Miles Morales has been infected. I did not pick up the Miles Morales issue of this connecting part because it's getting a little muddled. So I like the idea. I get the concept. It's done. A lot of good stuff going on in here. Man, if you're not reading Amazing Spider-Man, or I'm sorry, Absolute Carnage, you are missing out. I wish they would bring that Kindred guy from Amazing Spider-Man over to that in some way because it kind of fits that scary vibe. Really good stuff. She-Hulk number 1. This is basically an episode of Freaky Friday, if you remember that show from the 90s, or was it a movie? That doesn't matter. Didn't watch it then, don't care much about it now. Uh, this is, well, my mind's in something else. Why somebody runs my body, and yada, yada, yada. It's a bunch of super wordy for being a She-Hulk book. Um, every time She-Hulk was trying to be funny in this, I don't know, it just came off as forced and just didn't really flow very well. I didn't much care for it. Moving on, continuing on with Avengers what number are we on? Number 23. Or if you're in the legacy issues, why I don't know, what is that? 723, because that's a thing. I went with this kind of old school cover here. I really like this stuff. If you don't know, in this particular one, Johnny Reyes is in hell and he's about to race Johnny Blaze's character, and they're both Ghost Riders. We kind of find out that Ghost Riding, as they've been racers since the beginning, we kind of already got a snippet of that and an homage to it in one of the Ghost Rider movies. So that was really cool how they played off of that. We understand that you're allowed to cheat in hell. I don't know why that had to be explained, but it was. And the Celestial Hotel, we'll call it, of Avenger Mountain is basically taken over by a character. That particular character is absolutely hilarious. Well, I don't know if it's hilarious, but we bring back Cosmic Ghost Rider. Yes. So legitimately, we have 3 Ghost Riders running around in here. One of them being Frank Castle, Johnny Reyes, and of course the original Johnny Blaze. Is it Johnny Reyes or it's Reyes? I know that. Regardless, I'll set that off to the side. All right, House of X number 3. Now we finally get a story in here, and it is a good one. I like this. I know Hickman does his thing where he sets up like 2 issues of nothing but world building and throws so much stuff in it. But now we're finally getting an action-packed story. It's starting to make sense. We're shooting out into space to go stop the mother mold. Plans are not going too well for the good guys, bad guys? I don't really know. The people that run the space station. We'll put it that way. In other words, humanity. As the X-Men go to take care of this issue. There's some consequences. They're trying to not hurt as many people in this, and I've always liked that about the X-Men. They're just going after their target in this, but things will probably end up happening. We already know that one person will sacrifice themselves to stop the X-Men from coming in. So this is action-packed. It hits you where it needs to hit you, and it keeps you at the edge of your seat. And most of all, it leaves you wanting more at the end. So definitely getting so much better. I like it. Next, Marvel Monsters. I did not know that this was going to be basically an older comic book being revisited. This is the best way to do it. I really like the story here in the beginning because we get one of our famous monster hunters, Kaiju. Kaiju is a monster hunter, and he also summons monsters as well. And he kind of has this kind of beetle bug thing that kind of hangs out with him. It thinks it's better than it actually is. The great thing about this book is, in it is a book on how to build monsters, and they kind of do these little descriptors. First, there's an artistic rendering of the monster, and then there's kind of like the biological breakdown of the monster. I liked that. And the story going on with it, we find out it's Max Frankenstein, and him and his monsters fight Kaiju and his monsters, and it ultimately gets away, but leaves his book behind. Is this going to be a hard pickup for me? Look, if it's within my budget at that point, I'll pick it up. I got the first issue for this year. They'll probably relaunch this next year. But it's a child story. It's great for kids to read. Totally safe. So yeah, if it's in my budget, I would. But if it's slightly out, probably not. Let's see. Spider-Man. Spider-Man. This is issue 6 of 6 of the Life of Spider-Man, bringing him up to the current date. 2010s, we'll put it that way. Basically, we got an old man. He's hanging out with Miles Morales. They're going to shoot into space, basically placating, or not placating, but playing off of a original run of Spider-Man issue and kind of setting it up differently. We get Venom. Yes, we get Venom, a Venom in here. I liked this Venom. I remember this Venom. This is a great Venom. Boom. Right? Super action-packed, a lot of old stuff for a 75-year-old man. Boy, he was humping it in there. We get some emotional Doc Ock and Aunt May stuff going on in here. And, of course, at the end, we find out the entire time it was actually Doc Ock inside of Miles Morales subconsciously. I don't really know how to explain it when they do that kind of stuff, but whatever. Because Doc Ock is actually laying and dying slowly. He's reminded that it's his turn. And finally, the mantle gets passed off because Spider-Man does die in this issue. It shouldn't really be a spoiler alert at this point. It's Friday. And the mantle gets passed on, and of course he becomes the new Spider-Man, which has always been kind of the setup for Miles Morales. So it is what it is. Next we get Thanos. I am still enjoying this. A lot of good cosmic action happening in here. But, however, I'm not sure where they're going to take it from here. Thanos catches up with Magnus. He's about to do the duty there, and he's expecting to not make it from this one. Death apparently can talk to Magnus, but doesn't talk to Thanos, and that's a little bit of a problem. He still has a connection with Gamora to some degree. Gamora escapes her would-be captors in this one, which is basically the crew, Thanos' crew, and crash lands to help Thanos, but apparently Thanos kind of chews her out a little bit, and now they're going to go ahead and fight, or at least that's what we're led to believe in this one. Loved this villain's cover. That is awesome. Reminds me, I swear I've seen this cover before on another issue. I'm not too sure. Moving on. Venom. Got to get yourself some Venom. And this is a great issue. We get some of the symbiote action in here. We get beautiful splash pages like this. In this one, we get what is absolute fear. Or absolution, I think it would be more the better term. In this one, we get Dylan. Dylan's hanging out with Osborn. Not Mr. Fantastic is making a machine that can get the codex out of people. But, you know, he's kind of got these nefarious type themes that's going on with him. We get these symbiotes that show up and are like, yeah, we're going to drop some bodies up in here. Is that going to happen? Of course not, because not Reed Richards has a plan. And it's to basically lock the kids in a room full of guns. What could possibly go wrong there? But the big action part of this is, bam, Sleeper's back and he's here to help. Thought that was pretty cool. I like where this story's going. I like the advent of the kids being in it, and they're not superheroes, or at least not yet. Like we're seeing children and how they would react, right? One's slightly meaner than the other, but they're genuinely scared. I had to go with this cover right here because I really like these art renderings like this. Last but not least, for Marvel, we got this thing. It says Captain Marvel on it. Hold on, this is the one. I'm sorry, it says Captain America on it, but I don't recognize anything Captain America in here. In this, we get a placated, actually, we get propaganda about borders and illegal immigrants, very much thrown in our face, even to the point to where the people that are going to enforce the law are purposely made to kind of look like they're wearing Confederate flags on their helmets by keeping them slowly turned. Yeah. We get some young girl who doesn't really know much about the world going to tell Captain America how it works, and he's going to be like, okay, sure, why not? I don't get what they're trying to tell me in here, but it's very politically driven, and that's why this is a garbage book, because Coates cannot write Captain America. I have said it again. You've seen my video where I wrote him a letter. It is that, and the story makes zero sense. If a bunch of super powered beings are actually engaged in wrongdoings and evils, I think there's bigger threats you can give them than some people sneaking across the border and like 5 guys trying to stop them. Like that's just not entertaining at all. You horrible person, kids. Oh, by the way, speaking of Coates, I did get an Instagram message. The Instagram message said something to the effect, you should really read some of the other things he's written. I think you will enjoy them. To that particular viewer, no. Like, seriously, you destroyed my childhood hero. Why would I give that man any more of my money? No. So, I mean, I don't mean to be rude. I appreciate you watching the show, but no. Okay. Moving on to DC. That's actually the worst thing I have to say about a comic book this week. I don't know. Maybe I'll make something up. Let's find out. Next one. What is this? Yeah, Superman number 14. This was a fun read. We'll put it that way. Basically, we're still dealing with the whole secret society actually being the death of Krypton in this, and Ghoul being our main antagonist, of the destroyer of it all. So what does that ultimately turn into? A whole bunch of mess and a bunch of planets not trusting each other. So like Superboy just out of nowhere is like, hey, on Earth we have a United Nations, where we all kind of come together and help each other out, and we talk and dialogue and yada yada yada, and everybody's like, oh my god, why? A room full of adults are all like, why do we think of that? Yeah, we can actually form committees and yeah, planetary galaxy UN, if you will. And here's where things get weird. The Legion of Superheroes shows up and like, hey, great idea. Today's the day. We celebrate this throughout the universe as being the ultimate day that this historic event happened, and we want to take you back. And Superman's like, oh no, I got things. I got things going on, and they're like, what? No, Superboy, you did this. So because he said some words, he's automatically the creator of this. So we're being led to believe. And then they're like, hey, why don't you jump on back with us to the 31st century, because we like picking random times in the future, and kind of help us out there, buddy. And he's all like, hell yeah. I mean, I just got home like earlier this year. I'm twice my size, barely hung out with anybody. Let's go to the future. Awesome. So yeah, there's some silliness to it, but it is actually a good read, and you should check it out. I think it's a good starting on point, especially if you're going to be getting anything with the Legion of Superheroes to kind of find out. My guess is that the future is like apocalyptic, and they're bringing them there to be like, so seriously, you thought of this, how do we fix it? That would be a nice twist and funny. Like, they should really do that. It would be great. Okay, moving on. Justice League number 30. Just when you thought art couldn't be any more cluttered. And also, I think My suspicion is this is an era issue, and I'll explain why in a second. So we're getting into the War of Doom. Sides are being picked, lines are being drawn, and plans are being figured out. And the best thing that Starman can figure out is saying, hey, we're going to split up the original team, the Justice League team, into two areas. I need everybody else out there fighting the bad guys. The smaller group of people go figure everything out. In other words, you're cannon fodder, and these guys are the heroes. At least that's what I got from it. Okay, so moving on. So they do that, right? One goes to the past, one goes to the future. Some magical or scientific mumbo jumbo happens. So they're in the wrong place. So then this page comes up where Flash and Green Lantern are in one place. Now, these two pages are together, as you can see. And we get somebody introducing themselves. But he's not talking directly to them. Now, you can say, well, Joey, check out the page before it. Okay, well, check out the page before it. And we got Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman about to find a robot and get shot. So I'm not sure where this actually takes place, is which world it takes place, if that makes any sense, right? And here's why. I can't say it's the last one. I can assume it is. But then over when it transitions to this one, we find out that, well, actually, this is the Justice League of America, or Justice Society of America, which I've always loved those comic books. There's great old-timey comic books. So I'm assuming this page is with the previous page, even though there's no real connection to it other than an introduction of a character that we already know, and nobody ever bought his comic book. But, you got to hold that copyright property. Got to do that. Justice League Dark. This is, I can't speak enough good things about this. In this one, we get the return of Witch Boy. I actually had the first issue that Witch Boy was in. And apparently teams are a thing now in DC. So he's building like a Justice League Dark evil team. Who does it consist, you may ask? Oh, let's find out. It's actually kind of, I'm not sure about the selection here or why they thought this was a thing. But basically in this, we get Solomon Grundy, we get Voodoo, we get that Wood Rune guy again, Witch Boy, his stupid cat, and Cersei. And they're about to cause some trouble. Oh, and they're bringing back a classic character of all-time cheese from the 90s, Eclipso. Right? If you've seen the comic book, the one with the little plastic jewel by the eye. Yeah, that's Eclipso, right? He's been in tons of other things, but that one sticks out in my head the most. So this is happening now. Magic is still in chaos. Rules are being broken. And we got us a war on that front as well in the DC universe. Moving on to Freedom Fighters number 8. I enjoy Freedom Fighters. I love the idea of Captain America being, or not Captain America, might as well be Uncle Sam. I enjoy the fact that Uncle Sam is a superhero in this. This is great. But in this particular issue, we actually get a very thought out story about how Condor, the origin of Condor, I should say. And it's really good. And plus, anytime you can literally punch a Nazi in the face or watch one get punched in the face, it's a good one. I highly recommend get yourself some Freedom Fighters because that's just good stuff. Speaking of good stuff, Batman and Superman. DC, you have stepped up your game this week. Good job, because I have to look for bad things in this. Don't worry, we'll get to it. But this was good. I enjoyed this. I really like this whole concept of this happening. Somebody filling a space station full with kryptonite dust, and people are dead all over the place, and it's actually affecting Clark Kent or Superman, whatever you want to call him. And then out of nowhere, ta-da! It's your best friend. Where is it? Ha ha ha! Right? That was great. And then we go into the story, right? Because it kind of backlogs it that way. So Batman kind of updates Superman on this whole Batman Who Laughs thing and what he's about, and what he actually is, and how he kind of fooled him, and what he didn't fool him, and yada, yada, yada. And then we go down to the Batman Who Laughs cave, and of course we get the little evil Robins that we've constantly been seeing. They're going down there because they're in search of a child that was kidnapped, and they think it's this kid. Right? And they're like, no, we're going to take care of you. You're going to be okay. And all of a sudden the kid's like, no, I'm not that kid. I'm Billy Batson. He goes, Shazam, and then bam! We got a Shazam Who Laughs. I guess that's what we'll call it, or the Dark Shazam. Whatever. What a story. What a great twist. I enjoyed that. I like I like that. That was good. Moving on to Year of the Villain. Yeah, I did it. Action Comics number 1014. This is a mess. I didn't really. I kind of wish they would drop this whole red cloud underlining story thing because I don't think anybody's really getting it, and I'm not sure if anybody's actually enjoying it. We got a lot of dialogue, stuff like this happening nonstop in here about how some lady's just uber rich and bought the Daily Planet and loves everybody in it and will give them whatever their hearts desire as far as money goes and just making really bad business practices in the entire thing. Um, I don't care. I wish I did, but there's so much dialogue that just didn't need to be there. Something interesting did happen at the end of this, though. We finally get the connection with Naomi and Superman actually meeting. She crash lands into Metropolis. Superman's like, "What's up, sister?" She's like, oh no, I need you. You're Superman. I need you. Come with me." So why, I don't know, but we're gonna find out in that next issue to find out what that exactly looks like. I don't know what they're going to do. I like Naomi as a superhero character. I got the full run. Let's see what happens there. Maybe something will good. I just don't see the character working very well with other characters. I know that sounds bad, but I don't know. Okay, moving on. Speaking of good stuff, Curse of the White Knight, Batman. I went with this cover. I absolutely love this cover. Um, I really like Azazel as a hero. He's not a he's not a bad guy. He believes in what he does, and he's guided by faith. No less by the Order of Saint Dumas. By the way, if you don't know who Saint Dumas is, it's actually a very interesting story. Saint Dumas is the patron saint of good thieves. This is the best way to put it. This was generally the story behind him is he was one of the thieves that was on the cross next to Jesus and said, "Please don't forget me." And then Jesus kind of told him, "You will not be forgotten in the kingdom of heaven," yada, yada, yada. Well, eventually, Dumas is released from being up there. I think that's how the story goes. My Catholicism is a little short. But anyway, they made him the patron saint of thieves. So that's where you're kind of at with this whole order thing, right? And the whole Templars. And they kind of just retconned all that together. All right. So that's pretty cool. And I really like the teaching. I like how they kind of go back to how things were and what it looked like and why we're in Gotham. I like those kind of creationary stories. And then for some reason, we got a pregnant chick because they can do things too, I guess, except for maybe lift 100 pounds while they're pregnant. Like, I don't know. Um, Beautiful splash pages just to show how much Azazel is when he wants to be, if that makes sense. And what I mean by much is think of a peacock when it sprouts its feathers, right? It needs to be big, it needs to be large. And I like it when they do that with Azazel in this to give that effect of he's more than he is. I really like that. Moving through the story, we find out he gets himself a little team. He's got a tech guy, a demo guy, and a sniper, Chica. And they're going to go do some damage. What kind of damage are they going to go do? Well, they're going to hack into the Batcave and cause a little trouble down there. I absolutely have been just dying in love with this. The vehicle action stuff in it, stuff like that. It is just fun and action packed, and I've really been enjoying it. I love the dialogue in it. I love the absolutism of Azazel in this. Like, I don't care about material things. The world is wrong and crooked, and yada yada yada. So just great stuff there. Next, moving on to Detective Comics. This was pretty good. So Bruce Wayne's plane goes down. Deadshot's on it. Some hobos saved him from World War II. Now, I've already heard the complaint that, well, nobody from World War II would still survive something like that. Well, it's actually kind of funny. Somebody actually mentioned that. In 1996, there was a Japanese officer who lived on a remote island who was basically forgotten about. He was a scout. Military base grew up around there, and there was always the running joke of the ghost. Well, it turns out it was an actual World War II Japanese guy who was just hiding from the enemy all those years. I like that. That was pretty cool. They kind of played off of that in here a little bit. Um, and they did the enemy mine thing. Was it the enemy of mine with Dennis Quaid and Lou Gossett Jr., where he was in the makeup and he was all, yeah, right? That scene. You know what I'm talking about. Comment down below. What's the name? Mine? I don't know. Anyway, they taught each other their own languages. Apparently, they befriended a panther on this island. Deadshot's holding everybody hostage. And apparently, Bruce Wayne's going to go try to save everybody. Apparently, he found a Flyboy hat that had ears on it. I don't know. I get it. You need him to be Batman. He's going to go save him, and Deadshot's got him dead to rights. And then at the end, we get this, again, this weird monologue of Dr. Freeze talking to his dead corpse wife. Yeah, that's pretty much that. All right, for Independence Week, a little light on the Independence, but by somebody's request, I was actually asked to review the new G.I. Joe Snake Hunt arc that's coming out. It starts at G.I. Joe number 266. First, thank you for the comment. So yeah, I'm picking this up. Know that I am behind on my G.I. Joe history. Apparently in this one, Snake Eyes is no longer around. We're not really sure where he's at, or at least we can't figure it out in this issue. What we do know is that there's a gentleman by the name of Sheen, and apparently he's calling himself Throwdown. But he looks just like Snake Eyes. I think they're trying to fool the Cobras because they're spying on this one in their new Wadsworth base. Outside of Wadsworth base, there is a bunch of Cobra agents that are currently living in the houses around the base, ready, primed to strike. It's pretty much what we got in this book. I think they were trying to clean up the whole Snake Eyes thing because they kept referencing it like way too much, just so the reader would understand that this is our new Snake Eyes, but he's not really Snake Eyes. He's Throwdown, government name, Sheen. Shane. It doesn't even matter. It's very confusing. But nevertheless, I kind of enjoy it. I'll check out the second issue in the arc, and we'll see where we're at there. Next, Mountainhead. Oh my God. Thank you for recommending this one out there, YouTube land. This was so good, and it would have never have been on my radar. Basically, what we got here is we got a dad who suffers from schizophrenia. How do we know it's schizophrenia? Read the comic book and read the diagnosis of somebody that would speak this way. Schizophrenia. Uh, Paranoid, schizophrenia to boot. So him and his son basically break into houses. I would say that they're cat burglars, but they're dressed up like regular buggers. And finally, they get caught. Well, dad's so paranoid, and son kind of gives up. But what we find out about the son is he's not actually related to his supposed father. He was actually kidnapped as a child from someplace up in Canada. Why Canada? I don't know. Because it's cold, I guess. Anyway, and we find out that he actually comes from a loving home. But now we start seeing the seeds of what his father would say kind of start planting in his head, even to the point to where his worldview is scattered to some degree. I would love to be able to explain it to you, but that book's not leaving that bag and board yet because that is just an awesomely written book. I love the mirroring of reality versus what the kid's going through. They kind of show that in there. I found this to be a very, very strong book, and it's just a fun read as well. So definitely, if you haven't already, I try not to recommend books to people because I'm bad at it. But I would get this book. Is it going to go anywhere? I hope it doesn't, because then everybody will rush out and buy up all the copies. But if nobody's told you to pick it up yet, I would definitely check it out. All right, moving on. Tommy Gun Wizards. Hey, did you see the movie Untouchables? Okay, well, what we'll do is instead of alcohol, let's use magic. Seems like a cheap gimmick, right? When you hear it that way. And when you read it, for the first couple of pages, you're thinking it's a cheap gimmick. But when you get to the end, it transforms into something much cooler. Like, that's the only way. I don't know how to describe this book. I shouldn't like this book. I really shouldn't like it. It is a hard, fast, just swap of Untouchables with a few things here added here and there, I should say. But this book's just cool, man. I definitely liked this. I don't know why. It absolutely amazes me. I was reading this and I try to stay as even kilt as I can when I go into a book, especially a new book. And I got to reading it, and I was like, this is actually pretty good. It was pleasantly surprising. So that's my comic book haul, people. Don't forget, Blaster or Stash It, Sunday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube, where myself and a crew of people, we're still working the scheduling out, are trying to convince you that we're right about our reviews on a book. So come on, join us in the chat room. We'll be in there chatting it up with you. Let us know what books you read this week. Let us know what you thought about any of these books. Definitely, we want to interact with you. Speaking of interacting with you, we'll also be in Baltimore Comic Con. Yes, that's right, 2019 Baltimore Comic Con. Old Charm Town itself, with a little bit of danger hidden behind every corner. Bring your bulletproof vest and your comic books that you want signed so we can have a great time. Hopefully, we get to meet you there, have a beer, and relax. We'll be hanging out, myself, and I. And also, Spectacular Spider Grandpa and June Manchu. We're going to be hanging out with the Comic Corps at their booth and around the con and outside the con for various meetups and stuff like that. So definitely tune us in for all your great Comic Con news there. Other than that, folks, I think I am done. I'm about out of beer. I need to go get some more. Stay classy, folks. I'm out of here. Bye.